Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Brothers Need Therapy. I'm Aaron J. Yancey and I have my big brother, Les. Say what's up to the people.
Hey, what's up, good people?
Hey. So today is Memorial Day. Well, today's Memorial Day weekend. Tomorrow's Memorial Day. And I thought one of the best ways we could memorialize soldiers that we've lost would be to have my brother on and discuss some of the friends and connections that he made while in the military, and some of the guys that he lost while in battle, and then some of them that were lost afterward when he returned home. And we won't go too long into that topic because it is kind of a heavy subject, and just give y'all a heads up for some of y'all that might be listening. And then we'll talk about relationships while on social media. That's going to be really good. And then we'll close it out for any questions people might have, because I think people have a lot of talking points and questions at the very end. So we'll jump right into it. So my big brother Les here, aka 13 Bravo Yogi, as you can see, he did 7 years and 3 months, right? In the Army?
Yeah, 7 years and 3 months in the Army. I served from October 2005 to January 2013. So that kind of covered, it was very interesting how that time worked because it covered 2 presidents. So I got to serve under the second Bush and then Obama. And I'll kind of get into why that's pretty significant in regards to that. But yep, did 2 trips to Iraq. The first time in 2007, it was 15 months, and then the second time was 10 in 2010, and that was only a year.
Wow, it's crazy to put that in perspective now, because I was like not too far after when I graduated high school. So yeah, I'm thinking back to that time when you left, what was going on. So during that time, did you want to go in a little deeper into the difference of serving under the 2 different presidents, or do you want to talk about some specific guys that you met over there, some relationships and?
Well, yeah, because I start with the presidents first, and then we'll kind of get to the other part. Just kind of with under Bush, it was, of course, he started the war, and it was a high, I guess. Best way to explain it, op tempo is what we called it, and it's just kind of the mission speed, like how many boots on ground, the mission you're given, how intensity you're trying to step things up there because just kind of the situation on the ground, and that lasted from 2003 when the war started to right around when Obama came in. Obama came in what, 08? So that's when he started pulling troops down, especially in Iraq. My second tour was the easier one of the 2. Because I was just pretty much, we were going around trying to support the people, build up the infrastructure, get the business started and stuff like that, and then also oversee the drawdown, which was under Obama. He promised, as part of his campaign promise, he was going to reduce the amount of troops, especially in Iraq. Now with Bush, on the other hand, it's crazy because I didn't go over there till 2007, the first time, and that wasn't as crazy. Like, I have to talk to some of either the guys that went before me or some of my other friends that were over there earlier, and they're the ones who were saying, like, when they first went to Iraq, it was like the Wild Wild West and anything goes. And then over time, I want to say that as the enemy adjusted is when they started using IEDs. So a lot of guerrilla warfare, a lot of those IEDs. And so that's kind of right around the time I went.
Hey, real quick, can you explain to the for the people that understand IED military jargon, what an IED is?
Oh, okay, yeah. So IED is just an improvised explosive device. So it's just whatever they used to get so creative. That's why I always say, like, you have to always respect your enemy, because they're researching you, they're putting in more hours than you. They're adjusting on the fly, because it's all like, you got to think, a lot of these people over there, they've been fighting their whole lives. So they've seen almost everything that's been thrown at you. So one example of IED is they would take old artillery shells and wrap it up with explosives. And then from a distance, they would use like their cell phones, use a cell phone signal to start it. So they'll have a spotter, and then as soon as you come close over and be like, boom, either that or they would have like tripwire. Man, they just got all kinds of creative. Fortunately for me, the IEDs only either hit right in front of me, in my truck in front of me, or the truck behind me. But I don't know what it was, or you know, like I said, whoever was looking at me from higher, you know, them higher powers and the prayers, you know, they kind of preserved me through that time.
Wow, yeah, when I think about some of the stories you shared. In fact, you want to go ahead and go into that, like, just you don't have to go into real detail. Just kind of share some of the things you might have saw, like of people, some injuries, and then were there like the casualties, like that you witnessed?
Yeah, fortunately for me, and I always like, you know, and no matter what, you know how my feelings are about religion or whatever, I do believe in prayer, and I do believe there's, you know, God and higher prayer and all that stuff that goes with it. So I always thank, you know, my Creator that I saw just enough to maybe mess me up a little bit, but not too much to like send me over that deep end, because I've seen guys that just can't. They've been over there, can't function, and luckily I never had to see like a dead body. I always saw maybe some after effects, some remnants. I remember specifically July 4th, 2008. It was we was on patrol, the simple patrol, and then my truck behind me ended up getting hit. They used anti-tank mines and then wrapped it in plastic, and then once they hit it, it's like they hit all I knew was I heard a big old boom, and I looked back and the truck was engulfed in flames. And like one of my closer friends was in that truck. So of course, like I'm like, oh, what the hell is going on? And then as soon as that happened, we started getting gunfire. So I had to I was, you know, shooting towards the trees. That's where we thought we were taking income from. But luckily everybody got out. Some guys had smoke inhalation, minor burns, nothing serious to the point where it's all like, you know, seeing that. Now on the other hand, where there was in our Charlie battery, we lost a few guys, and like I said, I was fortunate I was not there for it, but for that memorial service, I tell people, man, you want to see like grown like men that have been to war and hardened and cried, just go to one of those memorial services and you'll see it.
Wow. Yeah, it's one of the reasons why I thought I was telling you earlier that I thought it'd be good to do this, because I think for a lot of us family members that were just like over here and not, sometimes I'm thinking back to it, I didn't really want to know what was going on, because, you know, I watched a lot of the news because I just didn't want to have my brain racing to the point of being worried too much. But I think it is good to hear the actual stories of people rather than just I'm sure a lot of guys don't really. I remember too when you came back, it took a minute for you to kind of open up about things.
Yeah.
And so I think it's better to hear it firsthand versus sometimes hearing stuff on the news. And I think it's good to also because Memorial Day, I don't know, most of my life, I just thought of it as like a day or a weekend to go barbecue and you got time off from work. But unless you really had close relatives that were veterans, and understand the difference between Veterans Day and Memorial Day, you didn't really take it as serious.
Yeah.
And just simple, even just talking to them and maybe try to get a story or two, just listening to letting them tell their experiences.
Yeah, because our country doesn't do enough of a great job. I think I heard one of the best quotes I've ever heard about the experience of war and coming back is, we came back to a world that wasn't ready for us and we weren't ready for them. And they never, I know that I didn't come, you look at the old wars, I think it stopped right at Vietnam. Korea, Vietnam maybe, is where, those big old, well, even the Gulf War, they got parades when they got back. It's my war I didn't get no parades, I didn't get those big, them ticker tape joints, and everybody you come home to your community and it's oh, welcome back, all this stuff like that. You come back, if you're lucky, you've got family members there, waiting for you. And if you don't, it's all for me, it was just right on back to the barracks. And it was you just in your room by yourself. And then you got a process, it's when it starts to because you don't start to think about all that stuff that you've been through until you're removed for it. Until you leave, you come back. I know I had serious survivor's guilt when I came back. Just the whole, you know, why didn't my truck get hit? Why did these guys end up dying? You know, and I did it because like I went down like the same exact road they did. And it's very, I know they do say, you know, there's a lot of vets don't want to talk about it, and I get it. But I do encourage a lot of them just to, if they could talk about it in a safe setting, because you do need to unpack a lot of that stuff that happened over there. Because I know I saw a lot of vets that, you know, they ain't function very well. They don't know how to, you know, deal around people, and they're angry all the time. And I've been that one too. But I just kind of was like, I'm not gonna let that war control my future. Like, even sometimes I do get frustrated. Like I had a nightmare the other night, and I'm all like, bro, I've been home like, well, the second one we still had experiences over there, but it's like I've been home, going on 10 years, and you know that the war, it never leaves you. It may not be as strong, you know, stuff, but that stuff just never leaves you.
Yes, I think there was like an NPR special I was listening to, and they were talking about this guy started a nonprofit to where he did like writing workshops with vets, and to get them to just kind of like tell their story. And I think he was also doing like comedy too with it, to also like break the ice. And
that's
yeah.
And I was about to say, that's what encouraged me. Just you talking about the writing encouraged me to write my book, because like I was telling you, like all these war books or whatever stories come from they come from all these, you know, Navy SEALs, Rangers. And one of the best books I ever read was called Black Hearts, and it was about the 101st. It was a regular unit, and it showed what happened when, you know, you have bad leadership, you have stress, you have worrying about dying all the time, boredom, because that's one thing about war. War is very boring. Like, you'll have boredom, and then next thing you know, shit pops off. But during that boredom time, like they say, idle mind is the devil's workshop. And of course, in that book, unfortunately, in trigger warning, you know, they ended up raping and killing the young girl and her family. And I always wish that book would be made to a movie, because people do need to see. I'm like, sometimes I'm like, y'all don't need to see how, you know, the sausage is made, but sometimes y'all do, and to help us transition when we get back.
Oh wow, I'm gonna have to somehow put that in notes later, because that book is Black Hearts, One Platoon,
yes, called
Into Madness, and the Triangle of Death, and the American
that's what it's called.
Iraq. It's like by Jim Frederick.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Those were my favorite kind of books, because that's the majority of the military, is people trying to escape, you know, whether, because, you know, like I said, I had bills, I was, you know, getting further and further in debt. People just trying to escape, and the military is, because they offer, you know, your meals, they offer your they offer your, you know, you get your housing, you get clothing, you get a paycheck. It ain't the greatest paycheck in the world, but it's a paycheck, and then you get just, you know, depending on your experience, you can see the world.
Wow, yeah, it's a whole world. I almost got into, as you know, I was going to do the Air Reserves, but yeah, most of what I know about the military I have learned from like you and Pops. So,
you know what's funny is, I remember I used to tell Dad. I distinctly remember telling Dad, I was like, I'm not gonna go to the Army because like they're handing out all these bonuses, but you ain't gonna be alive to get them. And the first time I tried to go into the Army was after I flunked out of college, and then I just was not mentally prepared for it. And I was like, I would not be able to make it. And I think I told him, I think it had asthma or something, and that's why I didn't. But that second time it was all right, because I needed help, so I had to. That's where I went.
Yeah, I think your red leg. So my big brother had a red leg podcast. Did you take that down?
Yeah, I took it down, and it's funny. I really I need to go see if I have any of that audio, because I looked at my descriptions for each episode, and they were so creative. I'm all like, because when I did it, I don't know. I guess I just needed the vent at the time, and because that was right when I finally started to kind of start to unpack a lot of things I was going over. So it was a very good venting. I don't think it got a lot of. I think I was too in my head. It didn't get a lot of traction. I was like, oh, I don't know, but man, I don't know. I've thought about maybe doing a YouTube series or something, bringing something back to that capacity after I finish this book.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty much a book on audio, pretty much, because I was listening to it, and yeah, that if you could find that audio, that would be good, just to bring it. Like, yeah, I thought it was real good. I know that the hardest thing is sometimes, yeah, when something's not getting traction, you're like, man, what was the point of doing this? But you never know who down the line is gonna listen to it. You're like, whoa, like, because there's not a whole lot of people telling their story. You know, vets, you know, coming out and sharing. We need more of that. Just people with real stories, kind of like you said about this Black Hearts book. So, I wanted to, but
I was about to say, because a lot of people don't realize that less than 1% of the U.S. population has served in the military. And a number that really jacked my head up was I watched the World War II documentary by Ken Burns. This is definitely a good one. I also suggest people watch this stuff. But he said, I think it was in World War II, only 4% of Americans actually did that fighting. Like the Marines, the folks in Germany doing all the fighting. And I always thought it was like everybody was fighting. But once I served, it made more sense, because I would see soldiers without combat patches, and those, you know, combat patches would show that you had done, you know, a tour or whatever. And I used to be like, how did you make it without it? But then it made sense when I saw that documentary.
Yes, the way it's framed to us in history books and school growing up, you think our entire country is at war, like, but yeah. Yeah, go ahead and to close this part out, I was thinking maybe share, because you lost a brother when he returned home, right? Like,
yeah.
I don't know if you feel comfortable sharing a little bit about him. You don't have to like go into the detail, but it's kind of like maybe say a cool story about him. You know, something.
Yeah.
Say his name, but like, yeah, whatever you want to share about him.
Yeah, you're good. So definitely, my first tour, you know, rest in peace to Sergeant First Class Johnson. I remember he was the first one that, you know, in my my personal unit that we lost. He was in our Kilo troop. So what happened was I was an artillery unit, but they had us doing infantry stuff. So to kind of, you know, they had an infantry kind of platoon or a unit that attached to us. So they were with strikers, and just one night they ended up going down the road, hit an IED. You know, Sergeant First Class Johnson, he bled out. Actually, the people that were responsible for that got brought to trial, and you know, I saw that. So shout out to, you know, rest in peace to him and his family. Also, rest in peace to Staff Sergeant Duha Tran. He was another one that we lost during my first tour in OI 07-09. We were up in the Diyala province, and that's where it's a lot of palm groves up there, and it was close enough to like Vietnam. Some of the pictures I had from there, it's like it's very similar. It was so hot in that place, but their battery, a couple of their batteries, they went on operation or whatever, and you know, it was a bomb in a tree, and so it ended up hitting him, a couple others, especially Dreyer. He ended up taking a blow, and then when he got back, the shrapnel in his body, some of it got into his bloodstream and took him out. So definitely, you know, rest in peace to his family. And then I always say that the war, sometimes, you know, the casualties are after we get back, because you're still fighting the wars in your head. And definitely to Specialist Barry Barker, and I wear his you know, bracelet around my wrist, because, you know, it's just like I said, I don't know the details of what happened, and I don't think I want to know. I just know I got a phone call, and you know, it was like, you know, Barker's gone, and he was a white dude actually. And that's why I do miss, you know, the Army sometimes, and I miss, you know, war sometimes, because like when you're over there in the crux of it, all that stuff don't matter, like that race stuff, all wherever you're from, you know, whatever you did, whatever your background, however much money you make, you're all about each other, and you're making sure that, you know, everybody gets home. And man, and then, you know, when we got home, you know, I'm just trying to think. Barker, like, he was one of the ones I think when I left for Germany, and because we didn't. It's like one of the things weird, because we didn't hang out a lot, but those, you know, those moments with people, it's like they're just, you know, present. And then he made chicken for me before we moved, before I moved back to Germany, and he joked around and said, you know, I'm not gonna make no more chicken until we see again. And, you know, just when you get back, just, you know, we just never took that time to, you know, kind of meet up. Because I kind of have my life going on. Yeah, it is. We were checking on each other on social media, and, you know, he just seemed always happy all the time. But when that was like the most surprising calls I ever got. And, you know, just kind of, it makes me more now to just reach out. Anytime I have somebody on my mind, you know, anytime I got something on my mind, I'll reach out, send them a text message, or, you know, I just ask people like, hey, how you doing? And I know people think it's like corny, whatever, but that goes like a long way. Like, you could be going through, you know, just mentally, you could be going through something horrible, and somebody sends you a text saying, hey, you know, just checking on you, stuff like that, and that'll just flip somebody's whole day. So, like I said, shout out to, you know, especially Barker. Also shout out to everybody that has, you know, lost somebody over there, or, you know, rest in peace to everybody that may have taken their lives since we got back. And I just encourage people, you know, if you're, you know, veterans, if you're struggling, you know, try to get you a hobby, try to get some, you know, something to be able to heal, whether it's writing, whether it's me, I picked up the guitar, I've been doing yoga, just anything that you could do to, you know, kind of go in that healing process, because you don't want to carry all that weight. But definitely, you know, appreciate, you know, letting me shout out them folks on this platform.
Definitely, I'm glad we were able to do it. And I'll just say, to wrap that part up, is like sometimes, not just military, but just in general in life with people, you know, sometimes you're hesitant to reach out. At least I have, because you like wonder how it'll be received, or if it's been a long time, you're like, man, I don't have a whole lot of time to, like, you know, catch up on 10 years and not talking to this person. But yeah, like you said, even just like a small, hey, I was just thinking about you, you know, saying what's up, I hope you're doing all right, that can go a long way, you know.
Yeah, that's why I'm glad we started. Yeah, that's why I'm glad we kind of sent each other those audio messages during the first part of the day. Like, that just helps things go a long way.
Yep. I was gonna say that real quick. Yeah, that's a good idea for people. Something just to let y'all know, something my brother and I we do. We don't necessarily get on the phone and just like start talking for hours, but throughout the day, you know, we have iPhones, so like we can just do the audio messages. If you have Facebook Messenger, you can do that too. But it's like we'll go back and forth, you know, about different things going on, thoughts that just pop up in our head. Sometimes just like, especially me, I'll just like ramble about something, and then he'll rebuttal to that. And that's also a good way to, like, if you don't have time to like respond, or, you know, have a long phone conversation, you can just, throughout your day, you can keep it, like, it's good to have check-ins with people like that, just ongoing. It don't have to be like us, like where it's all the time or every day, but it can at least be like even once a week, once a month, whatever. That's a good type of therapy for people. So yeah, thanks for doing that once again, big bro. And let me see if we got a comment real quick I want to address, and then we'll jump right into the dating or being married while using social media. This is some of our stories. So it says, our union has a military service group that connects on a regular basis. Oh yeah, the support group, actually we just started it not too long ago, before the pandemic. Yeah, so my friend there, Helen, aka the Seattle chick there, she is I think it's a carpenter. You're part of a carpenters union, right? I believe that's what it is, carpenters union. And out there in Oregon. And so, yeah, she's talking about like her, you know, dad was with the UAW, and they got the carpenters union or whatever. Yeah, so they have their own. She said they start their own veteran military service group. That's really cool. That's really cool.
Okay, cool. That's what's up. And then definitely shout out to her, because I used to live. My first duty station was at Fort Lewis, Washington, up there in Tacoma. So I lived up in that part Northwest for a few months. And I always say, you know, if you those support groups go a long way, because it's like everybody ain't gonna be able to fully understand what you've been through. But you get in them your support groups, and you can lean on each other, and that's definitely a good deal.
Wow. Yeah, I always forget about that time you went out to Seattle. It's funny because you did talk about that in your Red Leg podcast.
Yeah.
So cool. Yeah. So let's jump right into it. And thanks again, bro, for sharing all that. Really good, really good. So, Big Bro and I, some of our conversations we've been having, texting back and forth, I was just sharing a brief situation about a young lady that had come onto my this platform that we're on right now is called Live Me, and so it's I think of it as almost like Facebook Live or Instagram Live on steroids. You can give people, and it's a great way to connect with people on a deeper level than just like, oh, this is my Facebook friend. Like, you can actually get to know people and have great conversations and do podcasting like I'm doing right now, or we're doing right now. So anyway, this young lady came onto my broadcast and was just talking to me or whatever, and then we connected on Snapchat. And then later on, like one day, she sent me a message saying, you know, she felt guilty about talking to me. And she had mentioned that she had a man or whatever. She just said a man. She didn't make it. She just said man, like her boyfriend. And so, anyway, later on, the short version of it, later on, I found out this young lady was married. And yeah, I just initially told her, you know, hey, either you shouldn't be on here, period. Like, just don't be on Live Me. It's not really for married people or people in like serious relationships. Or if you're having conflicts, you know, you're feeling conflicted or guilty about being on here, then you probably need to have a, what do you call it, like a self-check, examination of yourself, and do a check on like what's going on in my relationship. You know, what's the status of my relationship, and what am I not getting out of that relationship that's causing me to want to come on these apps and like escape. And there's more to that story, but I won't go too deep in it. But like, I just noticed that almost there's a lot of people that get on here even though they're in relationships and they're trying to escape and get attention and companionship that they're not getting in their relationship. So I don't know, my brother and I, we were just kind of chatting back and forth about some of this stuff, and he was sharing some of his experiences. So we're going to talk about that and some stories that we have dealt with social media and being in a relationship, and just kind of get some of y'all thoughts too. So you want to go ahead and share? I want to go start.
Man, because I've been on the internet for a long time. Let me see, I was born in '82, so I remember life before the internet. And I remember early on, we used to go to, when I used to spend the night at Victor, our cousin's house. And I was the Yahoo chat rooms early on. I used to be heavy on the Yahoo chats. And Yahoo chat was always interesting. I know it wasn't on AOL because you had to, pay it and stuff like that. But Yahoo chat was free. And so that, fast forward to right around when I was like first married. And in the Yahoo chat, I ended up, like I said, I got married super young. Heck, he was super young. So when you got all that going on and you're working and just everything ain't going, where do you go? You go to, chats for the escape. And I think I ended up meeting this young lady on there. And she was like a low-key producer, out of Chicago, whatever. And, we just kept going. But it's like, you're sending others like, what are y'all, what's going on here? And we weren't doing nothing, inappropriate, whatever. It's just the fact that you're having something that your partner doesn't or isn't privy to or doesn't know anything about. And then, of course, my wife at the time was like, hey, you need to stop talking to that person. And of course you get defensive because you're like, ain't nothing going on. But it was like, when you're defensive, you're like, you see more and more guilty. So I don't know what happened to that, but that was like my first experience of social media getting me in, getting me in trouble.
How did she catch you, whatever? Like, know that you were,
you just
tell her?
You just know already, we men, we ain't the smartest in the world when it comes to that stuff. It was just spending too much time on that one thing. And of course they're like, why are they spending all that time with this online or talking to this one person?
Yeah. So she confronted you about it, and then you got defensive about it, and then what happened?
It just kind of, I think I just ended it or something. I can't, like I said, that was so long ago, I can't remember how it ended. And it was cool because we like connected on music. I've always enjoyed music. I was never, I think I just stopped playing instruments, but there's other parts of music I really wanted to get into. And that was my early thing. I was doing production. So I was playing around with Fruity Loops, and she knew the deal. And I remember I was like downloading pirated versions of Fruity Loops just to try to, Just try to, you know how it is. Like, oh, you doing this too? I'm like, all right, let me try here.
And so that was like how far into y'all marriage?
Man, that was like almost from jump when we first started. Like when we first, I remember, I think our first tax return, I bought was it a Dell or HP? It was a computer. And yeah, once I got that and got the internet, it was a wrap, chief.
Well, where was your head at? It was just like did you feel like you just weren't connecting, with your partner at the time, your wife, or like?
It's because you got to remember, like, both of us, the way we connected is like it was basically on some survival. Well, it was, loove was you're 19, just that, and then surviving, and then just trying to make it the day to day, and you're really not getting to know each other. It's almost like a cycle of, okay, we get up, get the kids ready, go to work, come home, blah blah blah, and then eat, go to bed. You might have sex or whatever, and then it's like you start the rotation all over again, and you really don't have those. You don't talk about things. You don't talk about things as they happen, and so a lot of stuff gets built up, and it's just easy to just go off and escape.
So it sounds like it was like you needed a break from the routine. A novelty, like, or something else.
I needed something else, and then like my ex-wife liked to say, it's like, hey, you like to be married and single at the same time. And I was like, damn, you got me on that one.
Yeah, I heard that quote a few times. You live like a single person, but you married.
Right.
Wow. So, do you have any other stories, something like about that, or?
I think the other ones, of course, I got caught up on MySpace when I first went to Fort Lewis. That was, because I had just got up there, and hey, I got that freedom, and I met a young lady off MySpace, and I don't know what happened. Her and the ex-wife ended up connected on some way, and I got busted. Shoot. And then anything else was not getting in trouble because I was, let me take that back. I was in a relationship when I was with an old girl down there in Alabama. I ended up, it was actually towards the end of the relationship when it's like, I don't know, like I always tell people, you should never be confused in your relationship. You should always know where the other person pretty much stands with you. And I just, I wasn't getting anything moving forward. And there was this young lady that kept popping up on my Snapchat, and I was like, damn, dog, she looking right. And then I think I was worried about, I shot my shot, and I was worried about her knowing that I, had a girlfriend, and she just didn't care.
It's interesting because there was a guy I had on here yesterday. He is a Marine. He's in the reserve now. Okay. He was saying even just like dealing with like being in a uniform and women just being, even if he tells me he has a girlfriend, they just still come on to him. Like they just don't care. Like,
that's what they told us in the military. Like, hey, there's going to be a lot of women approaching you, so be ready.
That uniform has some power to it. My situation here was toward. I remember, like, I guess early on in the marriage, I knew not to get on any sites, and I just didn't have like even Facebook. I like let go of a lot of I felt conflicted about having friends, especially of the opposite sex, that I had talked to in any kind of way while I was in high school. So I like unfriended them. Trying to think of anything else. My issues were mainly like pornography. Like that was a big fight. But then, she didn't want me, watching that stuff, and it was like adultery or whatever. And so later on, though, toward the end, like when things were just like, everything was a hot mess. With like, I, left my job, and the stress levels were high, like working out in my garage. And I just wanted an escape. And I felt like I wasn't being heard or listened to. So I was like, let me go talk to some people who are going to listen to me, And I think I initially was looking for just like something that wasn't porn, but like was like initially just women talking or whatever. Like women, like more softcore stuff, whatever. So anyway, that's how I even found Live Me. And when I initially came on here, like I just saw, like, you know how Live Me, when you go to the feature board, it's like a lot of women just dancing and stuff. You see a lot of that craziness on the app. But then, like, I saw people actually talking and having, you know, good conversations. I was like, man, there's a lot of potential here, you know. And I, like, when I first got on here, I was like talking to people, and she was doing like little Bible studies and stuff. I was like, there's a lot of potential to do good things on here. And there was, I used to have people that would tell me their stories who were borderline suicidal, and we would just have great conversations all night. And then, you know, at the time, I just called her Katie. She was like, what are you doing downstairs all night till 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock in the morning? Once again, that mania that I know about, like, I needed somewhere for a lot of that energy to go and escape.
Okay.
And so anyway, late, I remember, I'll never forget, somebody came into, you know, my broadcast one day and started telling me I was handsome, and she lived like 30 minutes north of where we were. And, you know, boosting my ego, things I hadn't heard in, you know, months. And, you know, then I started entertaining. They got the phone number, and I ended up halfway through the phone conversation, I felt bad. And literally most of the conversation was just like, just me venting to her, and then her venting to me. But then, you know, I felt bad about it. And then I actually ended up, you know, the whole thing, like, you know, you were saying earlier, the woman eventually, she can just tell she knows something off. And so, you know, confessing and showing the text messages, and you know the story after that, you know, blew a head gasket. So, but I don't know, like, how do you feel ultimately about people, and the audience, anybody that's listening, like, how do y'all feel about people being on social media and being in a relationship, like any form of social media?
You brought up a very, you brought up a very good point when you said you didn't like feel like you had a voice in your own marriage. And like, I've heard so many men, well, both parties, both sexes have always feel like that when they're married. But I've heard from a lot of men that don't feel like they can voice their opinions. They can feel like they can voice their desires. They can't voice damn near anything, or it's going to be a problem. And you should always, even if it's going to cause some discomfort, you got to get it out. You got to be able to talk to that partner, and your partner has to know how to, you know, receive it. And there's, I can't remember this test I took recently that taught, it's not attachment style, but it's like your pursuit, your kind of relationship style, like whether you're monogamous, fully monogamous, partially, you know, non-monogamous, all that stuff like that. And that's a good place to start, because there's some, I don't know, there's some dudes out there that I see, they're like family men that are like, oh, no matter what. And then you got the other ones, like, it's easy to get caught up real quick, because it's all like that temptation right there. So I don't know if I answered your question. I know I go on tangents.
No.
Oh, there we go. I just remember, I gotta go back. Okay, so that is, you have to be honest with each other. Like, you have to both be honest with each other, and you have to be able to be like, all right, if I'm doing this, if I'm having these type of conversations, I can't trip if such and such is having that conversation. Because I remember I was in a situation, I was, you know, doing my dirt too, and, you know, a certain person I was with for a long time, oh my goodness, this craziness. I ended up seeing, you know, them conversations, and, you know, she ended up showing her, she ended up showing her titties to the old dude, and I'm like, I tripped. And like, you know, looking back, you're like, bro, you have done some wild, you know, way wilder stuff. Like, why are you tripping? So it's meant, like, you just gotta, you know, I think the best thing to do is just ask, you know, if you are noticing that, you know, ask that person, like, why? What do you get from that person? Like, what do you get? Is it, you know, companionship? Is it conversation? What do you feel like you get from that person? And, you know, if it's something that I can't take care of it for you, you know, I gotta kind of be okay. Either I gotta be okay with you taking care of it yourself, or we don't need to be together. But if we're gonna stay together, you can't make me feel guilty for having this outside, you know, relationship or whatever it is.
Yeah, it's like you said, it's easier to dish it out than when it's like on your end. Hard to, like, you know, deal with knowing like she's doing something similar. And I don't know, it seems like a lot of times in every relationship, like, I almost like you. I remember one day you were saying some of these relationships you see on like Facebook or just people that you hear that like look like everything is good on the outside. Like you wish you could like hear more of like the stuff that's going on behind the scenes. Because I know for sure, just from my experience, usually one of you is off. Like it's never like both of y'all are on the same page, like 100% perfect. It's like kind of how we wire. Like a lot of times, one of y'all is doing well, and the other one is like the one with has some issues going on. And I don't know. It's just like, let's see, what is she saying here? If you are looking for fulfillment outside of your relationship, there is an issue. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it doesn't even have to be like another person. It's like sometimes it just works. Like somebody, like I just remember I was telling you how about when I would come home from work and I would just circle around, circle around the block like at least 4 or 5 times before I would go in the house because I had to like mentally prepare myself. And it's like they are happy because like they're not dealing with all the stuff that you deal with, like, and they think, oh, everything should be all good. Like, what are you complaining about? Why do you have to go escape and do these things? It's like, yeah, I don't know. Like, it's not just you trying to find fulfillment in another person. Sometimes it's like you trying to find fulfillment in video games or like,
or it's not necessarily like. It's not necessarily. I wouldn't say there are always issues. Sometimes, you may have some interest, or you may have other things that, for the most part, you and your partner get along with, but they can't take care of that need, and then it's like you have to find it somewhere else, and then that's when you have to have that conversation. Like, okay, how is this going to be done so we can respect what we have, but everything else you should always respect. Your main situation or whatever it is.
That's exact, like right there. The escape thing, respecting each other. Like, having that discussion. If like you feel like if I see my partner doing certain things that I think, having this, we all escape. We have our ways of escape, but and a lot of times, sometimes our escapes aren't like the same. Like, I don't enjoy the way you was like. I don't enjoy you like watching hours of Food Network. I don't enjoy watching hours of House Hunters or
right.
Netflix and chill. Like, I might just want to go play Madden or but like not making the other person feel bad because they choose to escape that way. And having conversations about those things. Like that's something that she said communication is so key. Like, I just remember just feeling like my escapes were all demonized, and I couldn't do nothing. I can't have can't have no fun. Like, can't even go play basketball, in a church, on a Friday night. You feel made to feel guilty about it, and it's just like
and that's why you gotta have it. You gotta talk. You kind of gotta have to really talk, and then even if you are, getting those needs out, you always should make time. Hey, whether it's whatever time you spend time together that day, that week, or whatever, go. Make sure you're prioritizing, each other. With that, can't be ignoring your partner for hours and then get mad when they go try to get fulfillment somewhere else.
Yep. So.
And then the honesty is key. Like, you have to be cool with it. You have to be, have to understand that, like, okay, especially mainly with these, online relationships, because it's just real super easy. And especially as you see, the more handsome, the better your voice is, the better. But it's like they're gonna come in. You just kind of have to like let them know, like, look, I got a situation, because it's all like they gonna be wondering why can't you only talk to me during this certain part of the day, or for during this time or whatever? Why can't you? It's just so easy to be when you're real honest with everybody. You got to be honest with yourself first.
So do you feel 2 questions to kind of wrap up this topic? So do you feel, one, it's good to even be on social media at all? Like, because I know from a guy's perspective, I feel like it's a little bit harder for us then I feel like some ladies can like not. They can. I feel like ladies can turn off that sexual part of themselves a little bit better than we can, and there's a little bit more temptation. So you feel like guys like shouldn't be on, if you're in, like, especially if you're married, you feel like they shouldn't be on social media at all?
It's it has to be, you have to be mature about it. You have to know yourself. If you know you're prone to mingling, then you just need to be like, all right, look, this is how I roll. I know there are plenty. I look at social media as a networking tool. I prioritize it. I remember when I was younger, it's like, trying to find girls or whatever. But now, networking tool, I have, those kind of relationships with people where it's like, it's strictly, it's either yoga related, it's, work related. It's just that maturity kind of, how you have to have that there. But
like, if set some boundaries kind of thing.
Yeah, you got to have the boundaries.
It's funny too, just thinking back as we're talking, it wasn't just social media for me too, because there was opportunities to, like, dangerous opportunities, like when I was even a banker, because you're constantly, for my job, I had a network, and a lot of times you're around a lot of banking people, or like a lot of women, professional women, and you can, have all the boundaries in the world, but you're still in a lot of settings to where there's always like that temptation around you. So it's just like, I guess, limiting, having like some really good boundaries for yourself. Knowing like some non-negotiables for yourself. Like, I don't, give people's numbers. I don't like, or that leads me to, I guess, my next question. Do you feel it's right to like give your spouse or like serious relationship, like your phone, access to your phone? Like, or all, or
I do. It's one of them, slippery slopes. It's like, I don't mind if you have it, but I straight up tell you, like, if you go in there, you're gonna see something. Like, you just got to be honest about it. Like, I'm not gonna like keep you from not knowing my phone password, but you might see something, and then this is what it is. And I'll just, once again, if I'm going to make sure that what I'm telling you is reflected in what you see, because I'm not finna be telling you I love you and then be telling all these other chicks that I love you too. That's what they really get pissed off about, is, oh, you telling me the same thing that you telling old girl over here and stuff like that. How am I special? So you gotta have that. I'm like, my thing is, people gonna do what they want.
Yeah.
I've seen so many situations like, I remember me and my work wife, she was married and we ended up messing around. And it's like, people gonna do what they want. You just hope, one, they don't mess up your credit, your money, your health. And I think that's, credit, money, health, and then your spiritual and emotional well-being. Other than that, they're gonna do what they want.
Well, you said work. I'm tripping. I'm cracking up where you said work wife. That's a whole nother topic, because there's a lot of people out here, they got work wives and work husbands, but everybody everybody in the office knew something was going on, but or the Wi-Fi wifeys and the side pieces. It's crazy just how it's almost like technology has just sped up the stuff that's been going on from our grandpa's generation. Like, ain't nothing changed.
And I will say,
made it easier.
I will say one too. I know I see something like being honest from jump. Sometimes you gotta ease into things, because like, you try to throw everything at somebody at once, and it's overwhelming. But I will say, you just kind of got to give a general presentation of yourself without overwhelming somebody, and be like, hey, this is how I roll. Are you cool with it?
Yep. Yeah, it's like, you might say you want the truth, but not everybody's ready to handle the truth. Like, we all of us say we want to know. Just tell me. But like, nah, I don't think you can handle what I'm about to tell you. So,
and even then, you gotta find, oh, that brings up a good thing too, just to say, hey, how would you like hard topics being brought to you? Like, how would you, it's like during a certain part of the day, when you want to know before, after, during, like, you have to really kind of have that person, because like, I might say I want to hear the truth, but I may not want to hear the truth after I've worked like a 12-hour day.
Yeah.
Or I want to hear, it's all about presentation. It's all about, how you present that to that person. They've got to know how, their communication, their language.
Yeah. Or that counseling piece too. I don't think it always works, but at least I think a lot of times, I think people approach counseling thinking it's supposed to solve their marriages. Sometimes I learned from experiences, it's like sometimes it helps you clarify the next direction of where you need to go, and it's not always it may actually break y'all up and help y'all be able to handle like the after effects of that. Because some people just they realize they don't need to be together. Like,
right.
I had to come to that realization that it's not always going to be the storybook ending.
That was like that with relationships. That was my. Oh man, you know how you put them on a pedestal or whatever, you think it's supposed to last forever, and people, whatever you work it out, and
or you're afraid to hurt their feelings. Like,
yeah, sometimes this thing is only supposed to last like
a season.
And you just hopefully, if it does come to that, you're like, okay, it's not working. All right, try to be as cordial as possible and make try to make the exit process as smooth as possible
for all parties involved.
Right, because I've had, and I'm fortunate enough I went through that breakup, because I've had situations afterwards where I was able to say like, look, this ain't working.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
This is not working.
Yep. And I'd rather you tell me that on the front end than invest 10, 20, 30 years of just like grunting out. So that's being cellmate stuff. That's good. Does anybody else, did you have anything to say about that? Does anybody else have questions or comments at all? Helen, you got anything else you want to add or questions you want to add?
I know I see, I know the big thing that I used to see was when I was on Twitter. That was my, I had a Twitter addiction. I had to finally like come to terms with that. But then that's when I saw like a lot of cats were like faking whole situations. When we're finding out, oh, he had a wife, and like don't do that. Like, be honest with everybody.
Yeah. I guess the theme of all this is just honesty. Even if but I don't know. Once again, not everybody's ready to receive what the whole thing.
No. I'll tell you, there is. My thing I like to say is there is somebody out there that will be cool with whatever situation you present, as long as you present it honestly.
Yeah.
Like, there's always somebody, it's all like, even if it's somebody you think you want and they're not down for it, don't waste your time trying to like convince them like, oh, we can make this work. Like, nah, just move on to the next. You'll find your connect.
And I think sometimes too, if the person is not being honest, that it's not always just something wrong with them. There's something wrong in y'all communication to where they feel like they're not comfortable to, like, if I told you the truth, like, this is what's going to happen. Like, that I deal with that a lot. Like, sometimes it's like, a lot of times it's not being 100% honest. So the lies by omission.
Yeah, I was about to say, I've been guilty of that too. Like, I'll say, oh, you can tell me, and then like she'll tell me, oh, I smashed dude last night, and I'm like, what? And the term, the mood changes or whatever. I'm like, nah, you gotta roll through it, cycle through the emotions real quick, and then be like, okay, just be like, hey, everything's safe, everything cool, stuff like that. But I think I'm at a level of freedom that anybody ain't there for yet.
Yeah, and my story is a little not as extreme, but it's all the same. Like, it's still like in relationships, somebody a lot of times is hiding things, and there's a reason behind it, because you just don't feel comfortable. You're worried about what the other person's gonna say, and like
there's this thing called, I would encourage people to look up, like, psychological safety. I don't know, it's what in turn somebody made up, but it's the same thing. It's like, feeling comfortable enough to bring up hard topics, whether it's in, your relationship or at work or whatever kind of relationship we have, or friendship. Like, it needs to be, safe. Like, if I tell you this, you won't spaz out.
Oh man, it's crazy. It's interesting that you even said that, because I had a conversation with a good friend, and she was just sharing that she was super honest. You know, it's kind of like, you know, having a therapist too, like being super honest about things that she was dealing with. Before she knew it, she was in the hospital. Like she was admitted into a hospital, psychiatric hospital, you know. And
yeah,
I get it. Like, it's almost like having not everybody is ready to, like, just knowing kind of who you're letting information, you know, being honest with. And
and just sometimes if you know you and your man, it's just I be knowing all these different things, but they're bringing back like psychedelic therapy, so kind of using those drugs to help people ease their inhibition, so you can be upfront and honest, totally honest with your partner. And then, you know, if y'all need to have not too much to drink, but just enough just to get, you know, a little warm or whatever, to be able to talk about some hard subjects, but you want to be careful with that too, because you mess around and, you know, say something too much and go from there.
But man, you know, y'all throwing the drinks at each other.
Yeah, you just gotta, when it comes down to it, y'all gotta get to what works best for you and the truth and all that stuff, so you can, you know, have a prosperous whatever type of relationship you have.
Cool. All right, this is real good stuff. Let me see if I missed any more comments. Don't try to be something you're not because you're afraid of being alone. Too many people do this. Oh yeah, and that's the worst. Yeah. Once it's kind of like, you know, like when you I think of it as like when you move into somewhere, into a house or something, and you got all this like junk, and you know, become a hoarder a little bit, and then you got to think about the idea of like moving out of that place,
right?
But you know you need to get out of that place because it's like become roach infested, or like, I don't know, just like it needs some cleaning done. It's just like having that hard, just the thought of all the work that needs to be done because you neglected to clean for such a long time. And then, just the work of just like moving out of it, or either cleaning it up or moving out. You got to make a choice, though. Eventually, it's gonna. It's not
when you address the mess early on, like you ain't got that much to move when it's time to leave.
Yeah, and that's exactly what I realized toward the end of my marriage situation. It's like, man, we had years of just like junk, and it's gonna take another decade to clean all this. It didn't, not necessarily a decade. It doesn't take a decade, but like it's gonna take some work because you just been not dealing with it. I like drinking poison a little bit every day. It's like drinking. I was like, you like drinking poison? I said it's like drinking poison a little bit every day, and not realizing it. Yeah, you're in that toxic situation. Yeah, until you get out of it, and then you can think straight.
Yeah.
So, all right, I think that's everything. I think we covered as much as I wanted to. Anything else you can think of you want to add, or let's hear? I'll give you like 1 minute.
I think we had a good conversation.
Yeah. Let me see if she has anything else you want to say, and then you become healthy. All right, and strong. Nice. Well, thank you so much, Helen, Seattle chick, for being in here, adding to the conversation, and anyone else that was in here just listening, lurking. And we're gonna be doing this, try to do this back on our regular schedule weekly. I'm thinking Sundays? Let's see here.
Yeah, Sundays works.
Yeah, Sunday noon, probably noonish before I have to go to work, because normally, you know, I go in at 2:30, so I can always do it at noon, 1 o'clock, right before I head off. So, but yeah. All right, big bro. Thanks for being in here. And
okay.
I'm about to shut this down. So,
all right. Later, bro.
Love you too. Talk to you later.